Very important understanding, and that is jnana tapasya. If you recall, jnana tapasya is the process, tapasya, fire. We have to destroy our ignorance through the fire of knowledge. How do we get that fire of knowledge? It's there. We have to destroy kama, krodha, bhaya. There's fear at the end, and krodha, anger, and kama, desire, passions. How do we do that? All of these are variations of energy, psychic energy. The psychic energy, we said, displays itself on a physical level, it displays itself on an emotional level, intellectual level, all these levels, they display themselves, but it's energy no less. To take that energy and transform it, just as mere sludge can be transformed into gold. And I used an example of the oil being refined. Your mind, you have the organic capacity to refine all the raw materials that you get into something beautiful, something precious. Use your own organic capacity, body, mind, as a means, as a kind of laboratory, as a kind of smelting pot to refine and transform all these things to higher and higher and higher energies. And ultimately, self-revelation will occur by itself. You don't have to look for it. Just clean, refining. This is called jnana tapasya. That jnana tapasya has to be used for all kinds of knowledge, all kinds of jnana. Not just spiritual, but also secular. We have to learn about this world. We have the organic capacity to know this world. Science is very good at that. Science is doing a huge, tremendous job. Seemingly giving us the unexpected, giving us the almost impossible. Who would have thought some years ago, even 50 years ago, some robot, approximately a ton weight, would be walking around on Mars? Who would have guessed somebody lands on the moon? Who would have guessed even not so long ago, comparatively speaking, that flight would take place? We transcend our own biological formula. Man has the capacity to circumvent the expensive, long biological evolutionary process just by his buddhi. How will he do that? With a desire to fly. He doesn't have to hang around, wait for nature to provide wings and satisfy his desire. He invents an airplane and goes above the clouds. An amazing thing. Just thinking about living on the moon. No, you take a rocket. With great, great technology you do it. Explore a small part of the universe that we can at least see. Much of the universe we cannot see. Most of the universe we cannot see. Unseen. Yet we believe it's there. The fact that we don't see it doesn't mean to say it's not there. With an example, Krishna gives, the stars are not out in the day, seemingly, but they are. You can't see them. That doesn't mean to say they're not there. So reserve your reservation and be a scientist. In what way? Take this jnana tapasya as your methodology. Transform all these physical, psychic energies into the highest psychic energy possible. In that way, you transform all these passions, all this fear, frittered away energy. The person goes to the office, comes back, I'm very tired. Well, what did you do? Oh, I sat. Sitting is not an exhaustive task. What did you do? Oh, I sat in front of the computer the whole day. I see. And you feel tired? Of course, physiologically you will feel tired. Why? Because you see the spinal cord is surrounded by very vertebrae, bones, built one on top of the other, with the heaviest bone on the top, the skull. Throughout the day, there's continuous pressure. The spine is not bent. Right? Go home, do a bit of yoga exercise or something, the spine is nicely liberated, and energy is free. But you see, mental energy, psychic energy, doesn't dwindle. In truth, why a person feels tired is they may be a keen cricketer. And on the weekends, they played cricket. And now during the days of work, their mind is, I don't wish to be here, I wish I was on the cricket field. But yet all the energy necessary to play cricket is much, much more than the energy necessary for work. Where is the expenditure? Anxiety, worry, dissatisfaction, stress, all of these things, unnecessarily. So this is where the Bhagavad Gita becomes very practical. It says, if you think you are stressed, if you want the key to work, secret of work, we have it. And how to control all these enemies. The same interfaith thing. There's a great, great anxiety currently between Christians and Muslims. Some film was published, or some part of the film was published. Now there are great riots and so on and so forth. There was some concern. Muslim leader wrote to me and said, how can we stop, all this hatred and so on and so forth? I replied, and my answer, even though I didn't quote it, was taken directly from this Bhagavad Gita. Part from the 6th chapter, and part from this portion here, saying, my dear friend, the difficulty is that we all think our enemy is the other person. Our enemy is passion, greed, fear, anger. These are our enemies. When religious teachers tell people, oh, please cultivate these higher qualities, take this energy, transform it, jnana tapasya, then the whole attitude would be different, and we'd have declutched all this fiery indignation and fury and so on and so forth. It'd be like water off a duck's back. Yeah? Something very petty at the end of the day. Oh, you insulted our prophet and so on and so forth. All right. What about your own anger? What did your prophet teach you? Did he not teach you self-restraint? Did he not teach you self-control? Did he not teach you turn the other cheek, Christians? Supposing you pray 5 times a day, supposing you pray according to Christian recommendation without ceasing, supposing you use that formula, then what will be your state of mind? Whatever comes, you'll be even mind and balanced. So, some important things. Jnana Buddha, Buddhi Yoga is stressed all throughout. And in fact, if you lose your buddhi, then naturally you will perish. We discussed all of that last week. And just some highlights from there. Then, another important thing that came out was harmony of religions. Is India's ancient contribution to the world. The nearer we get to a unity of understanding, the greater the harmony we have. The nearer we get to the ocean, the less we're concerned about the waves. That's the idea. A wonderful, wonderful contribution. Then having done that, what did we do? We came to and touched briefly on the question of Chatur Varna. Okay? So that's where we pick up. So, Chatur Varna, so on and so forth, right? Fourfold caste. Now here we find some potential confusion. So about Chaturvarna, the 4 castes, but you have to understand that the emphasis in this passage is and we, for completeness sake, we'll repeat the passage. Chaturvarnyam mayashtatam kuna karma vibhagashaha tasya kartaram abhimam pivya kartaram avyayam. So the emphasis is not on the caste. The emphasis is just on an example. Every country, to operate sufficiently efficiently, will have to have at least 4 dimensions, 4 contributing dimensions in their society. So, even if you say, is there any superiority amongst these? 4 dimensions, you'll have to say, in a sense, there is. So I mentioned last week that Shankaracharya says, we all have to aim as our goal, we all have to be Brahmins. That is, knows of Brahman. We all have to be imbued with the spirit of service, imbued with selflessness, not concerned with honor, as Kshatriyas are concerned with, not concerned with money, as the as the merchants, agriculturalists, and business community, and so on and so forth in modern language are. So all of that will elevate ourselves to a higher position. Are we all in one family? Do we have the capacity to elevate ourselves to that position? Potentially we do. But we all have 2 things, certain aptitude, and we have certain activities, certain actions, something inherent in us. Within the same family, you may get all the 4 varnas. And today, one society demonstrates it very ably. So you find somebody who decides, yes, I want to go into the military, in the same family. Another person says, oh, I want to go and be some kind of Christian minister, or something like that. Another person says, oh, I want to make wealth. I want to create wealth. I want to go and do business studies, and so on. All very valuable. Another person may say, no, I'll just be an employee and work. People can pay me. What will I do? I'll work for Fingal County Council, dig up roads, fill them in. I won't worry what the sense of it is. Sometimes I wonder what the sense of it is. You go along the road, somebody dug a hole. Then the next week it's all filled. The week after that, same hole is dug. It's worse where I come from in Zimbabwe. There's so many potholes there, created by people who dug holes to create some kind of cable or repair something. And then they didn't fill it in properly. So that there becomes a weak area. The road becomes a pothole. And Africa is notorious for its bad roads. The joke, on a particular road, a particularly bad stretch of road that you travel on through Mozambique. I've traveled on it many times. And the question is, what is that which sits in a road and you just see the eyes on the road? And the answer is, it's a giraffe in a pothole. So anyway, that's fine. So the emphasis is actually on this, that though I be the author thereof, the author of what? The author of the game of life, the author of this book of life. And here's the key, know me to be the actionless and changeless, that's the point. Although I'm Kartaram, the author, then fiti know me, Mam, as not as the doer, Kartaram, I'm not the doer. In fact, I'm unchangeable, I don't move, I don't change. I'm the Avyayam, immovable. But this fourfold caste, instituted by God Himself, the author of that, and most people misunderstand. Oh, the castes were very bad. Yes, it became a deteriorated system, full of jati and so on. But you see, all of that wasn't present when Krishna was speaking. He is very clear. These 4 varnas are there, and later on, in that same stanza, he'll say that they're according to the different distribution of aptitude, guna, that is quality, and karma. Nothing else. Nothing to do with my father did this, my mother did that. Nothing to do with hereditary. So where's the deterioration that we're trying to do away with in India, where now, Har Young can be a big minister of state, a wonderful thing, is because even so, there was a clusters of communities concerned with certain activities that's now deteriorated. And the distortion comes, the decay comes, the evil comes when you have 2 things. A sense of this is hereditary, and secondly, this is the privilege in it. You do away with all the privilege, no caste being more privileged than the other. But why is the Brahmin higher? Because of self-sacrificing attitude. Because that entity, that being, is not concerned with salary. Just give me something minimum. And then I'll teach you for free. What will be my outlook and my state of mind? I'll teach you for free. Society, knowing the worth of it, society, knowing the worth of it, will support you. Now, in the ancient days, this was how the thought structure went. For society to live, we require rainfall. We may not think of that in Ireland. In Ireland, it seems rainfall is a nuisance. But no, think of it nicely and rationally. Ireland is prosperous because it's the green place. It's where rainfall is and the land is lush. So, in other countries that don't have such abundant rainfall, we have to ask, the key to food production is rain. So how will we get rain? It was thought in this way. We have to have people dedicated to being self-sacrificing. People who think in a pure way. People who are able to manipulate all the varying components of nature. Nature seeing a very dynamic thing. Something that changes according to the thrust of your thought. The thought being understood as a suction. And that's the meaning of mantra. Mantra is a protecting thought. So everything mantra, thought being seen as something that is more rapid than anything else. More rapid than the speed of light, 186,000 miles per second, more rapid than that, and more immediate than that. That has an immediate effect. It condenses. That's what we have. So when society becomes pure, when society becomes noble, when society becomes self-controlled, good citizenship is there, what will happen? That country will abound. It's the law of sowing and reaping that Jesus describes. As you sow, so shall you reap. We can't reap something we never sowed. So in that way it was well understood. In a scientific, systematic way, you have to have people dedicated to that, dedicated to yajna, sacrifice. Not just formal ritual, but sacrificing people, spirit of sacrifice. Then who will protect that? There must be administrators to do that. There must be people who are not against violence, and people who protect. For that reason, Vishwamitra was originally a military person. When he reformed, you see, so he starts off in one caste. He starts off in Kshatriya caste. And then from Kshatriya caste, what happens? He goes to Brahmin caste. And then he requires other Kshatriyas to protect him, because his vow is non-violence. He used to be violent. Now his vow is non-violence. See the promotion of it. See, our Valmiki, one of the greatest sages in ancient times, author of the Ramayana, you can see how he himself was from a Shudra caste. You can see how Vyasa was from a fisherwoman caste. You can see all these great sages, there was nothing to do with hereditary. Encounter-wise, if a Kshatriya doesn't behave like a Kshatriya, he gets demoted. It's how you behave, not which family were you born into.
Drona was born as a Brahmana, and she became a
Kshatriya. So these are all interchangeable according to guna karma. That's all. Now what is guna? Guna we know as the threefold evolutionary forces of sattva, rajas and tamas. So a Brahmana would be full of sattva. A rajas, a Kshatriya would have a combination of sattva and rajas. A Kshatriya would be mainly concerned with honor, and mind about money. See, Vyasa, a Shudra would not be concerned about honor or anything like that. So a Shudra will have a dominance of the one guna, maybe tamasic guna. And then the rajasic guna. So according to the combination of qualities that you have, that's what's meant here by guna. Then what about your actions? Your actions will either be elevating or denigrating. So understand that. So, Tasya kartaram apimam vidya kartaram avyayam. Even so, I do nothing, says God, says the Lord. Then we go on then. Of course, Varna literally means color. And color, of course, is reflected here. So you'll see that in that commentary there, he mentions it, Varna. So he mentions that Satya will be white, also gold. Then we find, you see, the Rajas, which is typically red. If you combine a little red with that, you get a yellow color of the Vaishya. The Vaishya's color is yellow. And then of course we get Tamas. It's a dark color, black. You can say also dark blue. You see, if all people who are dark color were tamasic, then Rama and Krishna would be all Shudras. All black people would be Shudras, as the point he makes. All yellow people would be Vaishyas. All the Mongoloid people, Chinese and so on, they'd all be Vaishyas. All the indigenous Indians would be also Vaishyas and so on and so forth. Would be full of Rajas, would be Rajasic. And all the Europeans would be Sattvic, and we know that's not true. So, that's the point. Now, we go on to the next one then, having catered for that. Now the theme is not about caste. The theme is about non-attachment, detachment. Namam karmani lippanti name karma phalesh praha. Iti mam yo vijanati karma bhyena sa padyate. So, he who knows thus me as not bound by actions also knows that actions don't taint me, they don't affect me, they don't color me, nor is the fruit of action desired by me. An example given of the coconut, the green coconut. So the green coconut, you'll find, is integral with the kernel. But a ripe coconut, you'll find, is very distinct. The flesh and the kernel are separate, is the example given. So, actions don't take me, standing for Atman, nor is the fruit or the result of this action desired by me. And he who knows thus, who knows me, is that as being non-bound by any actions. I do actions, but it doesn't bind me. Why? Because the mental state is not attached. Things are not mixed up. How are we mixed up? We mix ourselves up with the instrument and the operator, all mixed up. So yoga means really separating these things. Viveka means discerning between what is real, what is unreal, what is permanent, what is impermanent. Asato ma satkamaya, lead us from, see, the unreal to the real, and so on and so forth, darkness to light and so on, death to immortality. Making that separation continuously, we have to do it. So, when we act, what is the normal thing? I do, I act. This is mine, it belongs to me. This is my house, this is my land, this is my country. Oh, me, mine. All desiring the fruit of this action. Do you see here? Actions don't taint me, limpati. Namam karmani limpanti. Name karma pale, fruit. I don't have the fruits of those actions. I don't desire it. So there's a clear distinction which we make later on in what is action, what is inaction, and we're coming to the most profound statements on this. Now we go on. Evam yatva kritam karma purvair api mokshati Guru karmai vatasmatvam purai pudvataram kritam. Even thus, having known, even the ancient seekers after freedom performed action. Don't think that you can sit down and not perform action, be free from action just by doing nothing. It's not going to work. In the famous passage in the Ashtavakra Samhita, you tell you see, even an action of a foolish person is not as good as being inactive in a certain sense. So when you act with some kind of knowledge, act with some kind of wisdom. The ancient seekers after freedom, they all performed action. Why did you decide not to do it? They did it. You follow their example. Therefore, you perform action. Work hard is a theme throughout the whole of the Bhagavad Gita. Work hard. Work hard. Everybody should do it. See, even the tradition I'm associated with is associated with work. That's all. It's a revolutionary movement. Previously, the sadhu sat in a village and smoked something and people touched his feet and all the rest of it, but no, work hard. Work silently, work solidly, work hard. Don't make a fuss about it. You work hard in that frame of mind, what will happen? You'll be content and productive also. The unproductive people are the people who make a noise about it. Wasting energy in noisy, being busy being busy is the expression we have, and not really doing anything. Making a lot of fuss and noise about it. So the knowing aspirant abandons this sense of egoism, doing, this agency, and doership and ownership. That's what's necessary. Why should we do it just as a formula, just as a dictate? No, because it's a very practical formula for relieving stress in all your activities. Where does the stress come in all your activities? Because I have to do something, it's all on me, the burden is on me, I have to achieve this, I have to get that, and so on and so forth, all of these things. The opposite is a letting go. And that's where the confusion comes in terminology. Oh, you let go means doing nothing, relaxing. No. Sleeping. No, that's not what we mean. It means a let go attitude toward the ownership, the connection, the ownership, the doership, and the fruits of it, the rewards of it. Let it go. It's not mine. It never was mine. In Jesus' language, I'm just working in the Master's vineyard. It's not my vineyard. I'm just working as a laborer, as a servant. That's all. That's my only role. With that sense of detachment, where can I stand? The non-dualist can stand in the place of witness, witnessing all the activities going on. We'll come on to that later. So these seekers, after the ultimate goal, didn't just dedicate themselves, here's the goal, we won't do anything now, because all these actions are tainted with these gunas. What will I do? I'll do actions, but I'll do them in the highest possible way, with the highest possible motive. Kim karma kim akarmeti karvaya pratra mohitaha tat te karma pravakshami yajñatva mokshase shubhat. What others do, sages too, of course, are perplexed as to what is action and what is karma, what is akarma, what is inaction. There are three things coming out in terms we have to understand. Karma, vikarma, akarma. Karma is right actions, noble actions, actions that free. You have to do it. In this context, the karma is actions which are full of ignorance. So they're might say, I hate to use the word evil, but we'll use it for the time being. Evil actions. Might say forbidden actions. Then akarma, there's no action seemingly. Don't forget, Krishna says, although I am the author, actually, I don't act. Akarma. Now this is a very difficult, subtle subject. So the text points it out and says, even sages are mystified by this whole subject. What is action? What is inaction? Very difficult, very subtle subject. And therefore, he says, I shall tell you what is action, by knowing which you shall be freed from evil. Being freed from evil doesn't mean to say you do nothing. You have to do something. So what is that something that is required? There you go on. Karmano hiyapi bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha akarmanascha bodhavyayam gahana karmano gatihi. Karmana or gatiha, I should say. Karmana, action, is necessary to discriminate what is action. To discriminate action or forbidden action, we have to identify that. Discrimination, what is inaction, akarma. And again, inscrutable, mysterious is the way of karma. So then we go on to the next one. And the next one is a very key text, very popular, well-known text. If you know it, you can repeat it with me. Karmanya karma yaha pasyad karmani cha karma yaha sadhutimam manusyeshu sayuktaha kritasna karma krit. He who sees inaction, inaction, and action, in action, he is the wise, he is intelligent among people, and he is the accomplished yogi. He accomplishes everything. That's the meaning. Now, this seems to be a contradictory statement, isn't it? Rather confusing. So, what is action in inaction? So, we have to use a few examples for this and make that something of a little bit of a theme. I'll give you some funny examples. And unfortunately, today, what happens is most people view work as a burden, work as a drudgery. So it's emphasized, you'll be happy on the weekend. And there's even a phrase, when Friday comes, you say, TGIF, thank goodness it's Friday. So there's an emphasis, you have to do this, unfortunately, because everybody has to work, everybody has to make a living, and so on and so forth. But at some stage or other, even in January, start planning your summer holidays. Off to the Bahamas, wherever it is, wherever you decide to go. And from Monday, if the working week is like this, from Monday to Friday, we just tolerate it, do the best we can. But by Monday, we start reviewing, what a beautiful weekend, it's a pity I'm back here at the workplace. By Wednesday, we start saying, never mind, the weekend is, we're halfway through the week. By Thursday, we say, this is what we'll do on the weekend. By Friday, we cannot wait and we leave early. Interesting thing. So, unfortunately, modern society encourages that. It tells us work is a drudgery and pleasure on the other side, that's what you're working for, that's your relief. But here it's not saying that. Not saying that at all. What it's saying is, in your workplace, why don't you be happy? Isn't it a pleasure? See, I know so many people who say, I'm very happy in my work, I love my work. And that would be a very different understanding of how we conventionally understand the way we view the work, our approach to that subject. So how will we change that? And is it worthwhile changing it? Yes, because, let's take, even physiologically, every thought has an immediate impact. If you doubt it, use that example I used a few weeks ago of somebody cutting a lemon in front of you and seeing then how your mouth feels. You taste the citrus or smell the citrus and your mouth puckers. Immediately that happens. Supposing you think of your most delicious, delightful meal that you want, Then today, right now I display that in front of you, put it in the corner, you smell the aroma drifting toward you. It will only take a few seconds and the mouth starts salivating and the gastric juice starts releasing. We call it mind over matter. It's a bit of a misnomer. There's no such thing as mind over matter. Matter and mind, same thing. Same energy displayed in different levels of coarseness and subtlety, that's all. Therefore, if we are happy and joyful in our work, the work being really the main activity that all of us are forced to be engaged in, if we make a delight of it, then every single cell of the body will vibrate well. Every single cell of the body will vibrate with that same joy. We will be healthy. We will be mentally revived, mentally healthy. We won't feel tired. We'll go on forever and we'll be productive. Otherwise, if you don't have that full input, that full commitment to your work, how productive can you be? So there has to be a love of it. There's a difference between a mother. If a mother tends to the child, even at night time, she has a love for the child. It's not a burden, it's not a drudgery. But if you employ a maid to do it, the maid won't have the same thing. They'll think, where's my check at the end of the week? That's where their focus would be, not on the child. So that's the difference. So by performing action in a detached way, that's the point. And Shankaracharya will put it in this way. He'll say, we act as a witness watching the body among several bodies. Am I walking or am I watching the body walk? The teacher and a student, famous example. The teacher says, you please walk. Then let's review, what did you do? Oh, I walked. Did you walk or were you watching the body walk? Or are you watching the body walk? Right. Now, think something, anything. Think of a beautiful scene. What did you do? I thought of mountains and forests and rivers. Did you think, or were you watching the mind assemble a scene? I watched the mind assemble a scene. You can take it in two ways. You can take it as an attached thing, I am the doer, or a detached thing. Now, even when you're not doing, some action is taking place. That's called action and inaction. Supposing I say, I'll do nothing. My work is a drudgery, I'll take my holiday, sit on the beach or wherever. What will I do? Nothing. There's a contradiction in terms. Doing nothing is doing something. How do you say do nothing? It's like the other English contradiction. I can't stand sitting. What does it mean? So, doing nothing. No, you're always doing something. Even if you sit there for your maintenance, other people are doing. Supposing you stay in a hotel, other people are cooking your food, other people are doing this, other people are doing that, serving you, and so on. Action is taking place. This is action in inaction. So there are two entities. Prakriti or nature is dynamic, highly active. We can put it like this. Brahman displays in two ways. A dynamic one and potential one. Dynamic and still, not moving, not changing, simply standing. Doesn't even have to observe. We're not observing, we can't call it the observer, we just call it Brahman being, Satchit Ananda, that's all, maximum we can say about it. Then, in the evolving, moving, dynamic world, you have to say, that is Brahman in action. This is Brahman in action, this is Brahman in action. Two separate words. In action and one in action. One is active. So Prakriti, nature, comprising all of this, nature has dynamic action. Nature has action. But the Atman has no action, it's inaction. Atman is not active, in action. Then, in the midst of a city, can you have a sense of inaction in action? You can. Standing back, understanding I am the witness, that's the non-dualistic point of view. What about the dualistic point of view? Dualistic point of view can say, I see all this, so Ramanuja, Madhva, and so on and so forth, they will say, I see all this activity going on, however, particularly dualism will say this, Madhva will say, all this activity going on is not my activity, it's not my breath, revalue everything, it's God's body, it's not my body, it's God's creative office, it's not my mind. I can virtually say my mind, it's God's creative office, where all these things are created. Thought being the creative force for all these external scenes. It's all God's doing. God is the doer. So God is active, seemingly. It's all God's action. But I'm the inactive witness of it, the interchangeability of it. So it makes sense. It's not contradictory at all. When you understand this formula, it becomes the key to fruitful, productive, joyful work and health. That means detaching from the action with no concern, I have to do this, I am doing this, my responsibility, I wish I had a holiday, etc., etc., etc. Adopt the position, and I mentioned it previously, of the heart. Heart doesn't take a holiday. You don't find a knock on the door with the heart saying, come on, I'm sorry, I've pumped your heart there for nearly 70 years, so please, I really need to, I've booked my holiday to the Bahamas. It doesn't do it. It doesn't ask for an extra salary. When you get a flight, it has to pump extra heart. It doesn't ask for an extra salary. So all of that takes place. God's grace flowing through us continuously like that, without any salary increased demands, without any strike action, nothing like that. Not like in India now, with big strike actions taking place. So, of the retail issue and all that, not doing that. What's its secret to longevity? How does it keep pumping? It's a peristaltic pump. It pumps, it rests, it pumps, it rests. We can say, in our experience, attachment, detachment, attachment, detachment. You learn that process. Action in action, action in action, action in action. You get the idea. So whenever a situation provides itself, which is potentially stressful, as a practical formula, stand in a poised condition, and as a witness, and beam from there, and see what happens, see what changes take place on the other side. It's a very profound shloka. He who sees in action, in action, action, in action, you see, that entity, that being, is a knower. So we pick that up. You get the idea? Now, there's another
Sometimes it's hard to see which is the action in action and the inaction in action.
If it wasn't hard, we wouldn't be here. You see, if it wasn't hard, we wouldn't have to go through a clarifying process. Things are mixed up. We have to separate them. So things are mixed up. These two are mixed up. Nature, Atman are mixed. We can't distinguish. What's our job? Carefully, systematically separate these two. We won't do it overnight. It's a progressive thing. So we can choose whichever we like. We can say, either will do. We can say, I am the witness of the actions taking place. And I distinguish therefore the inactive entity and the action taking place. Enjoy that. I can do that from time to time. But not all the time for most people. So what happens? I get engrossed in the action. Then I step back, having made the mistake. I am doing this, I am doing that. Stand back and say, Lord, you're doing everything. A problem comes along, hello, Lord, it's for you. Not my problem, Lord, yours. I take refuge in you, you are the doer. I'm standing here, you work through me. You're on religious position. You're working through me, through my hands, through all hands, not just mine. All hands, all ears, all heads, Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Through all beings, through all limbs. Even this Gita would say it. So one central energy operating through everything. You take this electricity, seems inactive to us. Until you put an adapter, then it seems active. So there's some entity there, some unity of existence there, with an adapter, certain upadhi, adapter, limiting factor. The limiting seems to limit the infinite capacity of electricity. But actually, it's a manifester. It manifests light. In most translations, upadhi, limiting agent. No? Why don't you say manifesting? Manifesting adapter. Look at it that way also. You look at the one way, you'll see inaction. Look at the other way, you'll see action. When you understand the compatibility of these two, they're not separate Brahmans. Nature is not just Prakriti. It's Brahman. It's Saguna Brahman. Brahman Saguna. And then Atman, the Brahman Nirguna. That's all. So one without quality, without action, one with. These are interchangeable. And when we understand the both of it, we start off with the position, God is in you. Then we go on to, God is through you. Then we say, oh, as you, and then we say, beyond you. In, through, as, beyond is a process. Yeah. Don't argue about dualism, non-dualism, all of that. Non-dualism is a finality of experience. Mark it and forget it. Because your practical existence is dualism. That's your practical understanding of reality. Dualism. We operate in a dualistic world and say, I do this, I do that. Very good. You take a small approach. Whatever I do as an offering. Lord, you are there, I am here. Lord, you are in action. Here is all action. Then an understanding. Oh, actually, it's not mine. It's not my breath. It's not my life energy. It's not my heartbeat. It's all yours. Then the next thing. I see. What is immanent and transcendent is the same thing. So all one and the same. Then, transcendent position, there are no two. In reality, there are no two. There are no two means I won't even see nature. The non-dualistic position is not experienced. We only get a clue of it in dream sleep. And meditation. The whole goal of meditation is to get that non-dual experience. Create a nearness. Get that nearness to a oneness. Understand the unity of existence in your own being. That's the nature of it. So, action in inaction. Very, very important shloka. So, karmani karmaya, pasheda karmani ja karmaya. Sabuddhi mam, the wise people, the wise among men, manusheshu among men. He is the yogi and accomplisher of everything. He's wise, he's intelligent, and accomplishes everything. A person has an understanding, person, man of wisdom, and so on and so forth, still engaged in the day-to-day activities, working hard, working silently, working solidly, working productively, from a point of view of joy and wisdom, will accomplish everything. Interesting. We think, oh, I have to work to accomplish something. It's like if I have a huge reservoir. In some places where I come from, for example, we have a lake, Kariba, man-made lake, a huge dam. If you haven't seen it, maybe you've seen the Hoover Dam in America, something like that. I've never seen it, I've seen photographs of it. Whatever it is, there's a huge body of water being restrained. Then you say, let me transfer this. My goal is, because it's filling up, rainfall is dropping on the mountains, flowing down and filling up. I have to somehow get that water to the other side, the river flowing on the other side of the border. So here's what I'll do, knowing that I am the only one who can do it. Why? Well, you see, God's been there since Genesis. He's an old man with a beard. By now, you see, after so many years, he's a little senile. Shh, don't say anything. Only I can do it. Then you ask a person, what did God do before you were born? That would be a very pertinent question. So with tremendous understanding, I will do this, some effort. I take my bucket. Don't ask me where it came from. Several scientists decided to have a conversation with God. Said, we don't think you're so clever. In our laboratory, we can actually create the universe. We can create life. And God says, oh, okay, tell me how you do it. First we take some soil. He says, no, wait there, get your own soil. So I decide, I take my small bucket, take the bucket full of water. The enormity of the task will be too much for me. And maybe I won't even understand it. Spend my whole life stressfully trying to get this water from that side to the other. The remedy is much simpler. And Yoga, Patanjali Yoga Sutras provides the answer for us. Good and bad needs are not the direct causes of transformations, it says. All we have to do is simply open the gates, floodgates. It's an easier process. And the water will flow by itself, without my interference. My part, opening. So when I learn to open and understand, I see, Lord, you do this, you're doing all this. In that sense, you are the actively part, you prakriti. And even that, what does the water say? The water says, I am water. I am always water. I never went anywhere. I am the fullness of water. So we have to see these two positions. And you're quite right, inscrutable is the way. Oh, that gives us, that means we've exceeded our time for a moment. So we'll finish off a little bit here now. We'll just go on to the next stanza as an introduction for next week. Hello? Whose doings are all devoid of design and desire for results, and whose actions are all burnt by the fire of knowledge. Him the sages call wise. An important addendum to the last shloka. Yasya sarve samarampaha kamasam kalo. See, devoid of desire and purposes. Kama sankalpa is a very, very important term. Always demanding, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want it. And today, in this modern world, we find such a great increasing demand with so much availability. I often joke with people. See, in Zimbabwe we had some very harsh economic times. If you wanted some cereal, food, there was cereal and that was it. Then I came to Ireland and somebody says, let me show you what we have to offer. Okay, what do you require? I said, all I require is a little cereal. That's all right. Do you want low fiber cereal, high fiber cereal? Do you want large flakes? Do you want small flakes? Do you want with fruit, without fruit? Do you want this and that, the other? Same thing in America. There's no such thing as milk. You want low-fat milk, 10%. You want high-fat milk, you want skimmed milk, you want this milk, you want that milk. All kinds of things.
More the prosperity, more confusion.
The more confusion.
Yeah.
You spend half your life deciding what is better, this or this or that. See? So our modern life provides us with this extra confusion, extra commercial dimension. And it removes the simplicity of things quite a bit, but it also increases the fire of thirst. I want this. The children, you hear them, children say, oh, they look at something, I want this, I want this. And parents, having studied Dr. Spock, say, oh yes, okay, you better give it all the time. Not Dr. Spock the Martian or anything, the Dr. Spock the psychologist, who in the 1960s declared, oh, we have to actually give way, forget about this discipline, creating boundaries and so on and so forth, we have to allow a child a freedom. It means no boundaries, it means offering insecurity. It means creating a spoiled child with no character. So a child must learn from early days what was described earlier. They will serve their buddhi. Buddhi yoga is the highest thing. Make sure that your psychic energy is directed toward the highest manifestation of buddhi. There's the highest revealing intelligence there. I will leave that off then for this week. We'll pick it up next week. And if you still want a little time, then you're going to ask a few questions or something. If there are no questions,
I think this progress, we all want to make progress and prosperity. So when there is progress, there is prosperity.
Yeah.
And that gives rise to desires.
Yeah.
And in Bhagavad Gita it says that we should not have desires. We should have no desires. Then life can be very easy, because desire leads to all kind of evils also, because if you don't have it, okay, you say you want to rob it. You want to rob, you want to do
The Gita
this.
doesn't say have no desires. There's no scripture that says it.
Bhagavad Gita doesn't say.
No. The karma that it's referring to,
Right.
you see, is the damaging desires. But we have to have desire for truth. We have to have desire for God. We have to have desire for highest perfection.
Right.
Yeah. See, unless you put that positive thing, young people say, oh, you're a killjoy. You want to take away all our pleasurable things. No, I want to give you the highest possible pleasure, the deepest, most profoundest beauty. Let me show you that. If you walk through this area, beautiful grounds here, what do you see? Most children don't want to see it these days. What they want to do is they want to sit in front of computer games and so on and do this with their thumbs. I was thinking last week, having something about an artistic temperament. I was thinking, what a fun picture to paint a street scene. And what we'd have a girl walking, doing this. And then we'd have a man tripping because of a lack of attention, and the cellular phone goes off like that, leaves their hand. And another person you see talking. These days everybody's multitasking. You won't get somebody walking just as an activity. You're going to walking, talking, all kinds of things. What that means is their attention is diverted everywhere, and the key to any success, secular or otherwise, is concentration. You don't have to be spiritual to do it. Concentration alone is a good activity. Even just as a benefit in its own right. Even people who say, I want to do meditation, or why do you want to do meditation? I want to have more concentration. Nothing to do with God or spirituality. It's a legitimate pursuit. Because if you have more concentration, concentration means I achieve the same thing in less time. I reduce the time frame. In a more concentrated time frame, I get a quicker result. No harm in it. Every good. Because every time you tune the mind, it's of benefit spiritually, even though you don't know it. Even though you say, my end is concentration. Why do you want to have concentration? I want to run a better business. It's okay. Even though it may be a self-centered pursuit, it has a great value. The exercise of being more concentrated has a spiritual value, whether it's known or unknown. Then, if you say, walk around the park with no cellular phone, with no other activity, with no other conversation, and please tell me something that you didn't see before. Now we do this when we go on retreat at Glenstore, because they have beautiful grounds and so on and so forth. The first exercise I tell people is, please go off and with a small notebook and register, what did you hear? What did you see? What sensations were there on the skin? How did the foot feel under the stones as you walk? How did it feel? Be aware. This great awareness must be there. And fortunately, this is being taken up by schools now under the name of mindfulness. So you have programs in mindfulness and stillness all over the place. Beautiful. Very good. Very often sponsored even by the Catholic Church here. So yes, mindfulness, when you're mindful of something, you'll see its beauty. Otherwise, how will you be able to appreciate it? There's a formula called OATS. You have to observe something. If you don't observe it, you can't appreciate it. If you can't appreciate it, you can't have thankfulness about it. So you have to be observant. Not just externally, but also internally. What is happening? What are the thought currents going? Where is my attention going? So we have to learn to do that. We have to learn to be more concentrated. When we do that, what will happen to our desires? They'll melt away by themselves. Why? Because the beauty of a tree will replace my desire. I don't say I possess a tree. I look at a beautiful sunset. I don't say, I'm going to put that on my shopping list. You just admire, isn't it? It's beautiful in its own right. I don't want to possess it. I don't want to make a written complaint to God. Lord, I saw your sunset last week and I thought you could have put a little bit more mauve there, a little bit more pink there. No, it's beautiful as it is. See? So everything all organized, beautiful and rhythmically, all nicely organized. See? Sure, yeah, feeling of thankfulness should be there, feeling of gratitude. We should cultivate a feeling of wonder, adoration and thankfulness with everything we see and feel and hear and touch and taste. Later on here, the next well-known passage, which most people know, I don't know if you know, you probably know it, that Brahma Parnam, Brahmahavi, Brahmagno, Brahmanoktam, Brahmevadena Kantaviyam, Brahmakarma Samadhina. He tell you, as an addition to this, we say, make sure you understand that Brahman is in everything. Brahman is in the offering, in the one that offers. You offer something, you yourself are Brahman. The offering itself is Brahman. The ghee you put is Brahman. The hand is Brahman. Everything is Brahman. When we get to that, we'll replace that Brahman maybe and say, imagine now, supposing you don't say Brahman, supposing you say sun. The ancient people knew it. There's nothing that we have which is not anything to do with canned sunshine. Everything is solar energy. We're not aware of it. But the food is from the photosynthesis effect, ultimately. Energy is from the sun. Everything is from the sun. You say, instead of saying Brahmapanam, you say Surya Panam and see how it looks. You see, the sun becomes everything. That's why the Gayatri mantra is more significant. Because it says, we have to understand, life and love and light come only from the sun. What a glorious display and symbol for the highest supreme, the Param. When we see that sun, what will we see? We see the giver of all life. Is it not a suitable symbol for that which lights the sun? It is. So that's the significance given to it.
And speak about transforming desire, fear and anger.
Yeah.
Can you say a bit about that? Because very often the desire is connected with something, the fear is connected with something, and the anger is connected with something. And so if you're in a situation of fear or anger, what about transforming that and getting away from the source of the...
See, it's a bit like, I start off with an example, I'm not sure if I completed it, you see. Supposing I want to conquer a shadow, I decide here's a shadow. And I pick the language shadow because it's a psychological term. We have these shadows. And I got deviated a little bit because we picked up the greatest shadow, death. Our greatest fear is death. All the other fears are versions of fear of death, actually. So, and that is reflected, you see, in the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, again, are hugely valuable about that. It gives us a systematic approach. How did we get to this position? Oh, firstly, this is the first obstacle. The most fundamental obstacle is lack of knowledge, ignorance. Every system declares it. That's why we labor about jnana tapasya. It's only through knowledge that ignorance is removed. That's what it only means. Because knowledge is the opposite of ignorance, therefore knowledge will remove ignorance by itself. We don't have to chase ignorance away. Knowledge itself will do it. Just as when the sun rises, night is chased away. So in the same way, if I use that example, here's a shadow, which evokes a number of reactions. Desire and fear are just opposite poles of the same thing. A desire is there to pull away from a fearful thing. So the two go together, these are the dvandva, the pairs of opposites. Now, if I want to get rid of my shadow, I won't ambush it. I won't shoot it. Ah, there you are, shadow. Today is the end. I won't chase it. You know, if it's in front of me, with the sun behind, chasing it, I'll never catch it. I can't stamp on it, I can't insult it, I can't do anything with it. The only way to conquer your shadow is face the sun. And where will your shadow be? Behind you, you walk toward the sun. The shadow follows obediently. In that same way, we deal with all these things that comprise our so-called world. So by looking toward the positive, attaching to God, for example, attaching to truth, walking toward that, walking toward the light, the other just falls behind, without necessarily stamping on it or eliminating it. Like taming an animal, do it from the side. You want to make friends with a cow or a horse, don't attack it from the front. Don't make friends with a dog by staring it in the eyes and walking toward it. It'll come and bite you. Look away and stroke it from the side. That's the way you do it. So the psychological technique is simple, saying with these three evolutionary forces, take that which is sattva, everything that is noble, full of beauty and truth and goodness. Use your dynamic capacity to imagine. Create God and all His angels there. Do that frequently, do that systematically. Say God's name with love. Do all these things. All these things are laden with sattva. Saturate the mind with sattva. You don't have to chase rajas and tamas away. They'll just be outnumbered. Like a glass, filling a glass with beautiful nectar. All the other stuff overflows. You don't have to deal with it directly. That's a mistaken religion. Mistaken religion is full of do nots, do not, do not, and do's and do's and do's, with no why or wherefore, and no positivity in it, all negative. If you do this, you go to hell. There's a place here where it's like a barbecue. They'll put you on a barbecue and roast you. Otherwise, there's another place that'll give you an infinite supply of ice cream. So rather go there, isn't it? No. This good and bad thing we have is a good starting point, not a good finishing point. You have to transcend that. How do we transcend that? We elevate the mind to an increasingly higher position. That's why we describe Buddhi Yoga as the supreme yoga. Yoga of the enlightened intellect. And later we see here how we systematically go higher and higher and higher and higher till we get it. It's just a question of tuning, repeated tuning, that's all. When something negative is there, register it and then leave it. Don't dwell on it and put something out that outweighs it. It's a numerical thing, a mathematical thing. It's very simple. Where's the area of difficulty? It's not in the conscious mind. There are two sections of the mind, conscious and the subconscious. The subconscious is the one that gives us the difficulty. The conscious mind, we can decide what to do. But our poor decision is really based on our habit level. So when the habit level has to be reformed, the habit level has a suction of its own. What will we do? How will we reform it? On the conscious level, the conscious mind will consciously insert Lord, your glory, God and His angels, truth, beauty, goodness, love, harmony. When we do that, then we can see mathematically in this time framework how much was sattva. And when sattva outweighs rajas and tamas, we start making a sattvic habit. And reforming the habit level, then we start sucking in good things toward ourselves. The more you do that, the easier it becomes. It's no longer an arduous thing. In the beginning it's an arduous thing. Oh, I can't meditate, I can't do this. Never mind. Do it anyway. Force it if necessary. You force it. The next thing, I'm finding it's a little pleasant. Oh, good. Then, I find I cannot do without it. It becomes my all. My spiritual practice is everything. I no longer had to do it because I was told to do it. I now do it voluntarily. How many times? In the beginning, my teacher told me, meditate twice a day. I found it very difficult. And then say this mantra. I didn't like the mantra. Then what did you do? Now I find great nectar. I find that every time I repeat God's name, I'm filled with a sense of joy and abundance. Every time I meditate, it's difficult. Difficult? Yes, difficult to stop it. Difficult to get away from it. And then every time I see a person, what will I see? I see them as embodiment of the Lord. Every time I see a female, what do I see? I see the Mother of the Universe standing there. I didn't have to attack lust. Seeing the Mother of the Universe just outweighed it. I didn't have to attack fear. Taking refuge in God outweighed the fear. Well, that's it. Good.